Welcome to CompSci360, the ultimate virtual summit for MS in computer science in the UK. This two-day summit will give you a 360-degree view around everything related to MS in computer science in the UK, with subject knowledge experts and student mentors from top universities. Before we hear from the expert, we want to walk you through the CompSci community on the Nebula platform, a dedicated space for you to connect with other attendees and build lasting relationships with fellow computer science enthusiasts. Throughout this summit, you will interact with a number of subject knowledge experts, and if you wish to get a personalized one-on-one mentorship session or get your queries addressed, you can book a slot with them by visiting their Nebula profile. We believe that this session will enhance your learning experience and help you achieve your study abroad goals. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you enjoy the summit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to day 2 of CompSci360, the ultimate virtual summit for MS in Computer Science in the UK. I am Sadhana, part of the Nebula Engagement and Marketing team, and I'll be the moderator for this panel. This panel is about what not to do during your UK visa interview, tips and advices from UK student visa holders. But before we begin the panel, let me introduce you what Nebula is, what Nebula does, and how Nebula empowers international study and work aspirants. At Nebula, we strive to bring about transparency, accessibility, and awareness to everything related to international studies and work. We connect international students, alumni, scholars, and experts from every related field to provide you with the resources and experienced insights that would help you make informed decisions about your education and career. CompSci 360 is a summit organized by Nebula specifically for students aspiring to study MS in computer science programs in the UK. Our goal is to equip you with the knowledge and resources that you need in order to succeed in that. A general instruction for everybody who's watching, please make sure you're in a quiet area with a stable internet connection. And throughout the talk, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat box and we'll answer them at the end of the session. So let me introduce today's panelists to you all. We have Rakshitha Rajashekara and Sai Sathvik, who are both UK student visa holders. And before we begin the panel, I would like you both to please give us a little, background and introduction about your journey to us. So maybe Rakshitha can go first.
Okay. Hi all. I'm Rakshitha. I'm doing data and decision analytics here in University of Southampton. I joined for 2022 academic year here, and I did my BSc and MSc in Mysore in India. And yeah, this is my journey.
Hello guys, this is Sathvik. I'm studying my master's in robotics at University of Bristol right now. I have did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering back in India at SRM University, Chennai. And yeah, same as Rakshita, I've been here since September 2022.
Great. So you both know each other.
No.
No.
Okay. I thought, okay, cool. So let's jump into the questions then. I'll first ask one question to each of you, and then we can go to the questions that are open to both of you. So my first question for Satvik is, can you tell me a little about your experience with the UK visa interview process? Was there anything particular that probably was like a surprise or a shock to you, or you expected what happened?
The UK visa process, the interview process is like just straightforward. You just go into the office, and I've opted for a priority service, so they actually provide you with a separate lounge and stuff. I've been there, like there was a small line. I have had to like sit for a while. I've given my document for scanning over there. Like we have option to like scan the documents at home or provide the documents for them to scan on behalf of us. So after that, they take the documents and scan for us. They'll just give us a token number and let us wait for a while. And the person who takes the interview actually calls us in. And it's actually not as a formal kind of interview. The person who asks questions is kind of like just taking your biometrics for the UK government. So they just take your fingerprints, photo and all. And in this meanwhile, they just ask the questions like which university are you going to, and like how you're going to support your studies, what would be the source of funds and other stuff. If anything, the surprise would be in the application process where they'll ask if you are a terrorist or something. That's actually, I'm not sure why do they ask, but yeah, that's the most surprising question I've faced from them.
Thanks for sharing about that, Satvik. So, Rakshitha, maybe you could add a little bit on if you had a similar experience, or if it was different, and also include how you prepared for the interview, and you can give the viewers some tips for the same.
Okay, like Sai, I also opted for a priority visa service, and it was similar that I also offered the loans, and process was quite quick for me because um, it wasn't crowded that day. And later on, I wasn't asked any questions, at the interview. They just took my biometric and they just let me go. So it was quite simple and quite quick for me. So, and I received my visa within next 3-4 working days, delivered to my address. So it was really quick, and I did not have any different experience or anything in particular. It was just a scanning process. They scanned my documents, and then they took all my biometric information, and that was it.
So, could you also include, how you actually prepared for the interview? Although there were no questions asked, but I'm sure you would have made a lot of preparation.
Yeah, I think the major preparation that is required for the visa appointment is preparing your documents. So once you fill in the application form, they would send you a document checklist. These are the things you are expected to have with you when you come for the interview. So I just went through the visa checklist, twice, and had all the documents ready and took the photocopies of it, because there are chances that they better prefer to have your photocopies scanned than your originals, because there were few incidents where due to the malfunctioning of the scanning machine, the certificates got torn and all. So it was just suggested to me that I better take the photocopies with me, and yeah, just take all your documents that's required. That's the first thing. And secondly, they don't ask anything in specific that I need to be prepared. Majorly the question would be, how am I going to manage my funds? So that's one thing that they see, that they see majorly, they see two things: that who is offering me, like who is sponsoring me the visa, who has issued me the cash, is my cash, all the details that is mentioned in my cash is correct to my documents. That has to be aligned. And after that, how am I going to manage my funds? So that those are the two things that has to be taken care of. If the details in cash matches with your detail with your documents, and if you're good with the funds, and I think you're good.
So, the two of you applied for a priority student visa because I'm assuming you had less time. So,
Yes.
if you have to, give an advice to the viewers, how early should they start applying for the visa, and at what time is it a necessity to apply for a priority visa? How long the entire process takes?
So basically, I've applied for priority service like as soon as it was opened. I was waiting for it because I didn't actually want to wait for 15 to 20 days because already people were like waiting for almost a month, and I didn't want that anxiety, so I just applied for priority. And it doesn't like I haven't got my CAS early. I've got my CAS like on the June 15th or something. It means that I've had like almost 2 months of time, but I was just waiting for priority. But if I had applied for like on the June 15th, I would have like gotten my visa by the 1st of July or 2nd of July mostly. And if you are if you're like getting your, I mean, most of our colleges here start at the end of September or mid-September, and you'd have to be here in the first or second week of the September. So you'd have to like plan to get your visa by the end of August, most probably. So the best guess would be that the end of July is the best time to apply for a normal visa if you're planning to apply, because the wait time increases as the time to the university like opening gets closer. So the most optimal time would be like the second or third week of July if it isn't a priority or a super priority visa.
So, is there any difference between the interview process or the documents required for a normal visa and a priority visa?
Just the wait time would be increased. Other than that, there won't be any issue. I mean, they'd give you less comfortable seats and no free coffee. Other than that, it's the same.
So, my next question for Rakshita is there any advice you can give for students who probably have gaps in their academic or employment history? And as are factors like that, do they have any impact on the visa application or the questions asked in the interview?
No, I don't think that's gonna make any difference here because I have a different set of friends here who have had work experience, who just finished the undergrad and joined masters here, or somebody who took a gap, and then no mothers who took a gap and then they started preparing for the visa thing and to pursue masters after their marriage. So people of different culture and different different stages of life come here, so they would rather appreciate that instead of having a problem on that. So having a career gap or gap in your academics, that doesn't count here, so that doesn't matter much.
Okay, good that it doesn't make the process more difficult.
Yeah,
So,
it doesn't make any difficulty.
mhm, mhm. So Satvik told, I mean, Satvik was the only one who had to answer questions in the interview. You said you were not asked anything. So my next question to Satvik would be, what are the tips you would give applicants who probably feel nervous or anxious about the whole interview process, and how chill is the, environment in that process, and how long does that take?
Yeah, and most probably I felt actually a bit nervous because the room environment, it was like so closed and you have to like had a card access or something, but I don't actually quite remember the unlocking process of the door. It's like okay. But the room was like a bit like what do you call it? It's so closed and it's a small room. Because of that, I might have felt a bit anxious. But the questions, like he didn't actually even look at me. He was just looking at the like the screen of his, through which he's watching through me a camera. He's just asked me like, what university are you going to, and what would be the funds like required, and how you're supporting that. He just asked like a few questions for the namesake of asking the questions, I guess. But yeah, that would be the questions they mostly ask you. Other than that, they won't actually ask you the complicated stuff as they do in the US visa. They ask like, what did you do from your childhood or something in the US visa, I guess, but not here. They just ask like, what university, and that would most probably enough. And if you are like feeling anxious about preparing, you can just like there are like quite a few resources to prepare for the interview. I guess Nebula provides one, and there are some free resources on the YouTube too. Like there are like other courses, mostly a preparation like answering without anxiousness or stuttering, practicing that would do most probably, yeah.
Great. Yes, there are a bunch of mentors and ebooks and talks etc. listed on Nebula specifically for visa and immigration requirements of not just UK, all geographies. So viewers can go check those out. A lot of them are free, a lot of them are paid, so you can choose those based on your requirement and what exactly you're looking for. So, if we're moving on to the next question, my next question to Rakshita would be, what are the best and the most easily accessible resources available to students to, acquaint themselves with the whole visa interview process for somebody who probably knows nothing?
Okay, I think the best way to do is to go to the website you're applying for. Suppose if you're applying for the UK, I think it's best to go to the UKVI website. The information is given in detail. Go through the website completely, and then they mention about what kind of visa that's required for you. Some students who go for short-term studies or for internship or some project to be completed in certain universities. So you'll have different types of visas available for different types of purpose you're going into. So the website should be more than enough for you to understand what kind of visa you need and what kind of documents that's required, and the whole procedure is explained, and what are the required things you have to do, the steps, and how you got to do that. The entire process is listed down, so you don't have to go through any other things. I think the website itself is fine. So once you fill in the application form, they would send you a document checklist that mentions all the things that is required for you to carry with you on the day of your appointment. And even if you miss something, I've heard that, I did not miss any of the documents, but some of my friends who forgot a document to take along with them, they were called after a week or after 2 weeks and asked to send through email, or to upload it on the website. So even then, it's not a problem if you forget to take any document along with you. You don't need to panic. You just need to wait for them to contact you. I've heard that they don't easily just reject student applications. They would give you a second chance if you have forgotten any documents, or if you forgot your, usually people forget to take their birth certificate. That's what they think. Sometimes VFS denies that it's not required, but in the end, the UKVI, mean, they'll receive an email from the UKVI saying that that needs to be provided. So even then it should be fine. So you need not to panic if you have skipped any of the documents.
So now that we are on the lines of the document, what are the documents that one is supposed to carry to the interview?
Okay, so firstly, all the documents that's mentioned in your cash. So basically, what are the documents you submitted to the university to receive the cash? So basically, you will be submitting your recent degree certificates. They don't require your 10th marks card, or level 12 marks card and all. They just need your graduation certificate, or the certificates, your transcripts that you provided to the university in getting the offer letter. So that's the first thing. And secondly, you would need your financial statements, your passport, and other documents you mentioned along with your along with your application. And then financial statement, if you're taking loan, all that has to be clearly written, and it has to be sorted out. And after that, as I remember, that you need birth certificate if you're taking loan, or if you're using your parents' money, something like that. And then what else? Let me just recall what did I take. So mine, it was pretty simple. I just had three documents to carry with me. I had to take my passport and the scholarship offer letter, cash, and all the transcripts I have submitted there, all 8 semester transcripts, plus my degree certificate. So those were the four kind of documents I was required to take, and that was fine.
So, Satvik, my next question to you would be: could you share any tips or strategies for students who may struggle with English language during, the UK interview process?
Yes. As I said, the interview process is like, and as we both experience it, like 50 or like 20, 30 chances a person can get an interview if the interviewer is in the mood to do that. Otherwise, they just take your biometrics and like send you on your way. So the most probably the most difficult questions he'll ask is the source of funds, and that would you'd have to phrase that in English. So that would be the most difficult part in considering the language. If you could just like understand the question and say that the source of funds are like us from a bank or from parents, a single word answer would do. He won't actually mind it, so there won't be any need to like prepare for the interview specifically if there is a problem with the language. You just have to answer in single words, and that would most probably help him like understand what the process is, like the source of fund is. And as Rakshita said, the documents are same, and she forgot to mention the IELTS document. We have to submit that too. It's a language requirement for all Indian students.
Well, I mean, you would have probably submitted that to your university as well, before which you would
Yes,
have got your,
yes,
unconditional offer letter.
yes.
So, so you're supposed to submit it in both places, both when
Yes,
you're.
after submitting to the university, you'd have to submit everything again to the visa process. Even if like there are like cases that I've like provided my source of funds as the educational loan, so I haven't had to like provide the birth certificate actually, because if it's the proof of funds from the parents, then you'd have to give the birth certificate as a link document so that it would link your parents to yourself. So I haven't had to do that. Other than that, the documents are like what you've provided to the university. In addition, there should be a bank letter proving that there is like the required amount of funds with him, or the loan document that shows that he has taken a loan that actually uh, is greater than the amount required for the UK studies I would need to have here. And the living expenses, other stuff, yes.
Great. So, my next question is to Rakshita. Rakshita, what advice would you give to students who are considering working in the UK after completing their studies, and how this, how they have to accordingly, change the requirements of visa application?
I think you first start with the websites here like Indeed and Instinct and stuff here. So that there are some agencies and websites here that provide services. Where you can find a job. Usually, career service in the UK, or the universities provide what are the options for students to fund their education while they're here. Also, they'll be providing ways they can work part time. Some of the universities also provide opportunity to work part time in the uni itself. Working as a volunteer in some events, and as some ambassador in some events in the university itself. So they'll have a minimum pay of £10 maybe. So go through the options available, and you can work up to 20 hours in a week. So that would be that's the maximum thing I would recommend. That if you exceed that, that will cause an issue in getting your visas further. So do not try to do try to work within those 20 hours in a week. And during the holidays, you're allowed to work 40 hours a week. So during the term times, the university will provide you with the term times, so that you'll have the letter with you, so you don't have to worry about the crossing 20 hours a week. So during the term times, you can work for 40 hours, like during the vacation, 40 hours a week. And then firstly, I think I would recommend that as soon as you come here, get your NI number, national insurance number, from the UKVI. So what they do is, here, to monitor the number of hours you have worked, to maintain the taxes here. So firstly, they'll give you a certain number, so that all your work and everything is linked to that number. So once you have the number, NI number with you, you can start working, looking for jobs and start working.
Yeah, my question basically was, you get a 1 year student visa, but if you want to work after that visa expires, so you want an extension.
Okay, to get the extension, it would be better that if you find a job or a sponsor, a job which sponsors your visa immediately after course completion. That's really great. So once you get the sponsored visa for tier two, you'd be fine to work full time here. If not, you also have the option to get post-study work visa, which extends your study for 2 years. And so once you have your post-study work visa, you can work full-time, like any number of hours for next 2 years. So that gives you an extra time to look for the job. And once you start working on your, most of the companies here who hire freshers, or who hire students after the graduation, what they do is they do expect you to work on graduate visa. So once you graduate visa is what they mean by post study work visa.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have your graduate roles working fine, and then you can extend that graduate visa by looking for sponsorship from the company you have been working for. And if you have worked for 2 years, I think they would not shy away from offering you a sponsorship. So once you get your sponsorship, I think you're really pretty sorted.
Great. So now I have a few questions that both of you can answer. Maybe you can take turns and answer. My first question is, what are your advices for students regarding, the health insurance requirements during the entire visa application process, and how do they ensure that they have adequate coverage?
The health insurance hasn't been an issue to me in my perspective. I've just had like applying in the a process of applying the visa, you just have a pop-up that says that you have to pay for the health surcharge or something, and it takes you to a different link. When you pay the specific amount that's mentioned in that link, then and only you would be able to continue the visa process. I guess this is what my memory serves. Yeah. Most probably there won't be any issue in the health services. You just have to like answer the questions. I haven't had any problem with that. and you'd have to the most common type of issue people like face here is the kind of issues like with the payment. You'd have to enable some international banking or other limits or some stuff to actually pay for this. And sometimes there might not be of no need because some banks actually do international banking. It's the issue with your banking provider. For the best case, you just have to turn all the international and online payments on before making the payment. Otherwise, that would be cause a delay in the process. Other than that, there won't be a major issue in the health one.
Rakshita, would you like to add to it?
My experience also was similar, but I used a normal debit card, and Visa debit card, so I did not have any problem while paying the health fee. So yeah, you don't need to buy any extra health insurance here. You just buy the normal government NHS health service here. So then you're good to apply for your visa.
Okay. Okay, great. So my next question to both of you is, what are the possible grounds of disqualification of the application? Maybe during the interview, or when it comes to how you apply, or even after you probably get your visa, but after that maybe there are some rules and regulations violating which it could lead to disqualification. So if you could both elaborate around this whole disqualification of either the application or revoking of the visa you've got.
The most probably the issue would happen with the source of funds. I mean, it's not professional, but the UK is actually looking for an influx of international students as their majority of the economy is from the international students. I shouldn't be speaking of this, but this is true. So they won't most probably reject your application anytime soon if there isn't any issue with your funds. Uh, or there's an issue with the what do you call the if the documents aren't true and if they find them forged or something, there might be an issue. But other than that, there won't be any issue during the application process. But after coming here, there are certain cases that the visa can be revoked like if you work extra hours than you are supposed to, you get your BRP biometric residence permit here. On that, they'll mention the amount of the work hours you can work here, and if you exceed and they find that you've worked for more than 20 hours, they can actually revoke your visa and send you back home. And there are cases that you shouldn't involve with illegal substances and other stuff. There are other cases where you shouldn't actually uh, get an FIR filed on you or something. I'm not sure about that aspect, but if there are stories from my friends, I've heard that there are people who've done something and there was a complaint raised on them. There were locals involved, but the locals were reprimanded for a day and they were released. But the people from India were actually contacted by the embassy and they were taken back home in the next available flight. So it is an issue if you do something bad here. You just have to control yourself. And if you are studying in the university right now and if you aren't focusing on your studies, there are certain requirements. A friend of mine actually is studying in the Cranfield University last year, and I'm not sure what happened, but a friend of his actually failed three courses. There are certain requirements for failing. If they fail three courses in the Cranfield University, they send you back home. It differs from university to university, and I haven't faced anything similar in the University of Bristol where I am right now. And so these might be the cases I've heard of, yeah, and these are the other ones I know.
Maybe Rakshita could add to it.
Yeah, I have heard a story of one of my batchmate getting suspended from the university for teasing girls, or some e-teasing thing happened in the university. So people here are very particular about that. They don't take it lightly. So once if they observe, or if a complaint raised against somebody for practicing such harassing or verbal abuse, also would lead to such causes, and which will lead to getting you deported immediately. So those things have to be taken care of. So those things are not taken lightly, and those things won't be ignored here. So I think you should always be in a best behavior to keep yourself in track.
So also that is those are grounds for revoking of the visa once you've already gotten them. So what do you think are the common mistakes or common reasons why applications get rejected or applicants get disqualified?
I think here the visa acceptance rate is pretty high, so you don't have to worry about it unless you have your documents ready with you and they support you for all the reasons you have given to the universities, for all the documents you have given to the universities. So, whatever the documents you have submitted to the universities, and if you provide the original copies on the day of your appointment, you're good to get your visa. So, all the documents that's required, your marks cards, and everything that if that is real and if there are enough, that should be fine. Your IELTS requirement and your financial sources, if all of that's clear, so I don't think there will be much problem in getting your visa rejected. Only if you're not able to provide your proof of funds, or if they find the documents aren't true, then there might be chances of you getting rejected. Other than that, I haven't heard of any visa rejections easily here.
Great. My last question is, I mean, I think you probably covered this already, but if there's anything missed out, you can just add to it. So, how important is it to have a clear understanding of the immigration laws and regulations? And how can students stay informed of the updates or changes that may, keep happening?
There won't be like many updates after coming here, and most of them, even if that any updates, most of them won't affect you. But if you feel like there are anything like different circumstances that might happen, you can just contact the visa office in the university. Like there's a separate visa office for the international students. You
Mm-hmm.
can go to them and like talk to them, ask them anything. They'd like provide you any information regarding the visa. Like I've had a issue with I've been planning for a fellowship in the Switzerland recently, and the case is like you have to like stay in the UK for 12 months, or the like other than going back to India, I have to stay in the UK for the most of your study. And if I go to this fellowship, I've like got a 3 months, I guess. Yeah, 3 months in Switzerland. That might affect my visa requirements, like the post-study work visa, the graduate route, and other stuff. So this might affect my visa. So I've contacted them, and they are telling that there won't be much of an issue if you are like to link my dissertation or the major project here to the fellowship I've been going to. So this might, if we link it properly and show that this is a specific requirement I would specifically need, or I would actually need, so that I could complete my master's, the visa office will actually agree to it. And these are the some of the cases, and most probably, yeah, and you should actually look into the like this is unrelated, but yeah, you should actually look into the garbage, the separating the garbage and other stuff, so that you won't get fined. Like if there are like, I mean, this is unrelated, but if you don't separate the cardboard and other plastic stuff, you'd get fined. I've got like 400 pounds of fine, so yeah. I haven't heard of that before, so I've got the fine. You'd get the fine in a post that you have to pay this and other stuff, so you'd have to be careful about that. Other than that, the immigration laws mostly won't affect the students unless they are like looking to extend their visa. And when extending the visa, you'd generally look into it like what are the rules that apply for you, and mostly these would be available in the UKVA website. If you just go through the UKVA website regularly, if you want to like apply for the post-study work visa, the UKVA website would be the best place to look at them.
I mean, when we talk about these, all these seem pretty simple. I mean, uh, uh, is it there's so much misinformation just floating around, but once we dig into it, it's just very simple. Like the two of you have been saying over and over again about, how simple the interview process was, and how simple the application process was. I think conversations like these are very important so that students start gaining that confidence as well that it's going to be fine.
And it's like the students here are like a bit busy to answer their friends' questions back in India, so most probably they won't actually answer straight, or they just mess with them. So there's a lot of misinformation regarding that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly why, this is for the viewers, exactly why you shouldn't be asking random people for advices. Maybe you find them on LinkedIn or find them with a hashtag on Instagram, and you just text them. Either they're busy and they are saying something, but it's coming off as something else, or of course, everybody is busy and nobody wants to, give out advices to other people for free. So, which is exactly why Nebula is designed. I mean, so that you can come here, find the right fit for you, and get like verified, authentic guidance from them, and they're being compensated for the time. So, the platform is designed for the same reason that Akhil just mentioned.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
would
to
say that when you're trying to apply for the visa or when you're trying to apply for the universities, it's such an anxious and draining process that it makes you so anxious about, are you going to receive the offer? So once you receive, then, meeting the conditions and then receiving the cash. So everything makes it so complicated while you're going through the process. But once you land here and just look back, then you realize that there wasn't anything that you had to be so scared of, or you were really tense, but it wasn't required to be. The things were smooth, but it's just that, while you are in the process, it's pretty normal that you feel that way. So once you overcome that, and once you come here, so it all feels smooth, and it wasn't complicated. It's just that, when you're doing it for the first time, you had that anxiety, and it takes some time to understand, and then it should be fine.
So I think we can pick up one or two questions from the audience now. I will read out the question. Either of you can answer, or like both of you can answer. So some of these we've already covered. One of the questions here, although I think it's completely covered, but let me still repeat that. I have a medical condition. So in this case, how can I apply for the visa, and what are the additional documents that would be needed?
I'm not sure about this question, but I would say that while you're filling in the form for the National Health Surcharge, so there on the website they'll ask you about the details of your health conditions, and so I think there you might have to mention about the thing.
Rahul has a question. Rahul's question says, how was your experience after you got the visa? Is there any cultural shock that you've experienced so far?
The culture is pretty different, so what we find common back home won't be the common thing here, and what we find common here might be a bit awkward seeing back home. So, most of the experience, like people actually start drinking from 6 a.m. in the morning, so that's the most like the changing factor or the cultural shock I've will have or I've had. So. Other than that, most of it's
A
fine.
cultural shock you probably liked or not, did
I
not like?
don't like that. So, like people get drunk in the early morning and they come to you. Like I work as a part-time cashier in here in the supermarket, so they just come and they like set the bottle in, opened up. I'd like to pay for this. So you've already drank. If there's something you've bought in another store or something, if they bought it at another store and if they want to pay it here, then they would actually complain on me. Like they'll sue me because of just taking an additional payment. So that might become an issue. So I'd have to like check through the camera if this person actually picked this in this store or something. So that might be a hectic issue, and it's like a different thing what we face from compared to like people come there for like eggs and milk back home, and here people come from this. So yeah.
I think Rakshita would also have something to add for this.
Yeah, I had a similar experience here. Yeah, cultural shocks different was definitely happening, but I don't remember many of them now. But um, one of them would be people are so sweet, and they say things like to stranger. They would just like hello love, and but this time like, oh, that was quite a different experience. I just don't know, it's completely a stranger, but they would still say hi sweetheart and darling. So I was a bit taken aback initially, but then I now enjoy that. And after that, another culture shock would be, usually we see that in India we don't sell, or you don't see people smoking or drinking around the university or around the school campuses. But here
Mhm.
you see that it's being sold in the university itself, and
Yeah.
people here we see people smoking here near the universities or in the university a lot, and you'll have breaks for to have a smoke or to settle you up. And it's pretty common that they don't mind at all. And professor also, when they say that you don't need to attend the classes, in India what happens, they would still mind that you're not attending their lectures or things like that. But here, when they say that you don't need to attend the lecture, you're pretty free to do that. They won't mind, or they don't take it emotionally that you're not attending to the class, and you can be open to the professors and share your problems, and they don't take it otherwise, and they just deal it as a problem. I mean, not they don't take it emotionally.
You know, that's a very good way to go when where you feel like you can express things clearly without having to always think about the ABC ways it can go and worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because when people say that you're free to walk out if you're feeling the class is boring or something, in the lectures in India, but if you do that, that will be noted, and that reflects on how you're treated next time. So that
Yeah.
doesn't happen here. So
Yeah, I mean, we are pretty uh, policed and traumatized kids going there. So, yeah, I can totally get what you're saying. So, I think we have reached almost the end of our time slot for today. So, before we wind up, is there any something that you think is the most important tip when it comes to getting a visa? Like other than something you've already said, if you want to add to it, you can, or you can just tell me your closing, remarks.
okay. As I was in the final year when I started this, I was in final year when I started the whole process of applying for the universities and stuff. So what I would say is that it's sooner you get your CAS, your offer letter clear. I had received a conditional offer letter. It took me really long to, due to COVID, my semester got extended, from past 2 years. So I was supposed to graduate in May, but it happened in July. So I had to wait till I get my results, and then I submit to the university and get my unconditional letter issued. So this whole process, when it gets extended, when your other friends are applying for visa, you're still stuck with your conditional offer letter. So that makes it so difficult to go through during that process. So I would suggest that get start things early so that you don't have to go through such anxiety or worries when other people are applying for visa. And secondly, once you get your unconditional offer letter, go try for getting the cash, so that because when the applications in August or in the end of July, people would start applying for a visa all or at once, so it gets delayed, and it actually the wait is horrible. So it makes it difficult for you to wait until you receive a visa. It might extend to, like, 5 to 6 weeks after your visa appointment. So I would suggest that it's better that you start your application in advance, so that things go smooth, and you buy yourself time so that you can book your tickets in advance, so that it doesn't go so expensive for you to book the flight tickets immediately.
For everything, be it visa or any application or this entire process, starting early is the best thing anybody can do.
Yeah, true, true.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Rakshita. Satvik, what are your closing remarks?
The thing is like, what I've heard from the friends of US is like they can actually change their I-20 or something. Yeah, I guess I-20 is the equivalent of the CAS in the UK. So when applying for I-20, they can get multiple of them. And if they are like started the visa process, they just pay extra, then they change the university name or something. I'm not too sure about that process, but I've heard like it's something similar to what I've said right now. But in the UK, if you get a CAS letter, then that's what you have to apply your visa with. And if it's in the middle of the application and you're changing to decide the university or something again, then you'd have to apply for the CAS at the other universities. And here, sometimes CAS requires a deposit of around £2,000 or 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs sometimes. That can be difficult, and you won't get the deposit back if you haven't actually shown a specific reason, so that be a waste of money. And if you don't actually show a medical reason or something like that, and if you are coming to the UK with a different university's CAS, the university that you have applied previously for the CAS won't actually give your deposit back. So that might be an issue. So deciding the university a pretty bit early, like in March or April, that would be the best choice because the application process for the CAS is too long and it would be risky.
So great. It was really, really amazing having the two of you, and you've shared such insightful and even if somebody walked into today's session with no idea of how to get a visa, I'm pretty sure they've got a very good idea of the entire process, and they've also gotten such unseen or tips that they wouldn't usually go get outside. So thank you so much for sparing your time and joining us so early on a Sunday morning. And everybody that's watching, if you have even more questions, even more doubts, or if you have anything that you want specific guidance on, you can connect with Rakshitha and Sathvik on Nebula, and you can book a one-on-one session with them, or you can you can send them your queries and get them answered. So and also let me remind you that we have two more sessions after lunch. Lunch would be from 1 to 2 p.m. So stay tuned and do not miss the sessions from 2 to 4 p.m. And I will see you all soon in the next session. And once again, it was very nice to have you both, Rakshitha and Sathvik, and hoping to have many more talks like these with you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.